Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? आज वाला केम छो? आज सब कैसे हो? So today I'm going to be discussing the Mars retrograde that is happening October 30th around to January 12th of 2023. Okay, so we know Mars is a very explosive planet, like a hot planet. It likes to suddenly cause new changes, and mostly for a secondary cause of us gaining intuition, okay, from a spiritual standpoint, for those of us who are aware enough. Now, we know Mars also does not go retrograde that much, right? Why? Because I discussed some of this in my retrograde video, but just my general retrograde video. But we know Mars is a very explosive planet. Okay, so planets go retrograde when it kind of has to fulfill some karmic things that it didn't really fulfill. But Mars is already a pretty like explosive planet, so it doesn't really need that karmic retrograde help that some of the other planets might need, like Mercury, because Mercury is very rational, so sometimes it just needs to karmically have stuff happen to fulfill certain agendas. But Mars is not very rational. It's already a pretty explosive planet, so it doesn't need to go backwards that much. But when it does go backwards, it goes backwards for, like, this time it's going backwards for 2.5 months. So it's pretty significant. The fact that it doesn't go backwards that much because it's already kind of a hot planet, an explosive planet, but it is going backwards. So it's like extra, like, whoa, what's going on? Okay. Now, the last time Mars went retrograde was about the beginning to middle of September of 2020 to the middle of November 2020. So try to think of the energies that were going on around that time in your life, just to kind of get a little comparison. But this one's going to be pretty different, okay? Because that retrograde was in Pisces and Aries. This one's going to be in Gemini and Taurus, okay? So Mars, when it does go retrograde, there's a couple of things that happen. So we know Mars already is a pretty hot, explosive planet. So when it's going backwards, it's really going to cause some new changes that have been lingering in your life over the past 2 years to come to fruition, hopefully. And most likely will make it happen because Mars is so strong. Okay. Now, the planets that don't go retrograde that much, Venus and Mars, when it goes retrograde, you can almost guarantee something's going to happen the way it wants to. Okay. You could say this for any retrograde planet, like Jupiter, Saturn, or Mercury when it goes retrograde, or Rahu and Ketu, because they go retrograde all the time. They're kind of out of control. But especially when these two go retrograde, it's pretty strong. Now Mars. So it starts the retrograde off in Gemini, but for the first 2 weeks, but for the remaining 2 months, it does it in Taurus. Okay. Now, I just split it up the time-wise from a sign comparison. But if we look from a nakshatra comparison, basically Mars starts its retrograde in its own nakshatra, Mrigashira, and it goes back into Rohini nakshatra. Okay. So these two nakshatras are going to be very important for Mars here. And now if you look at the flow of the whole nakshatra system, right? Because I said the sign and the nakshatra system, they're both separate, but they both kind of work together, okay? They both kind of go hand in hand. Now, that being said, so what does Rohini and Mrigashira represent? They represent basically doing stable things with the intention of having those being expanded soon. That's what you can kind of say at a very general gist. Okay, so Mars, it's going to be focused a lot on stable things. Now, what are stable things in your life? Family, money, to an extent, luxuries, but anything that you need to be stable, food, these kind of things are, I guess, what you can say these two nakshatras represent, and expansions of these two things. So what do I mean? Mrigashira is a little bit in Gemini too. So what's an expansion of these things? So I just said family. So family, an extension of that is extended family. Okay. When it comes to food, I guess you can say the way Mars is degrees wise here, it could represent not just the basic food you eat on a day-to-day basis, but it's more, at least at the beginning of this transit, going to be focused more on, I guess you can say, food that that you don't really have that much, or is considered a little bit more of a luxury. Okay. Yeah, so you kind of want to, I want to start making these videos a little bit, so I'm not just saying the basic stuff like, oh, Taurus represents stability and things like that. I'm kind of analyzing a little bit of the degree points and kind of combining more of the sign and the nakshatra systems more together. Okay, so now, for example, I know this transit is coming up throughout the holidays. Okay, so I am almost sure that there's a very high percentage of a lot of you watching this that are going to have some things happen with some extended family when this retrograde is happening. Okay, I can almost guarantee it. Now, moving forward. So, Mars goes retrograde in these two nakshatras, Rohini and Mrigashira. Now, Rahu is in Aries, okay? So your Rahu is kind of going to try to trick your Mars into saying, hey, let's try to do this, this, and this. But your Jupiter, or Jupiter in the sky right now, or when this transit happens, it aspects Scorpio, okay? So it gives a little bit of wisdom to Mars's intuitive side. So what's going to happen is your Mars is going to try to make a lot of changes in areas of stability, like areas of extended stability, okay, which is what I call like extended family, or like not necessarily your job, but like side passive incomes that you're trying to work on. And your Rahu is going to try to influence that Mars, saying, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this, okay? But I would encourage you to listen to your Jupiter and say, hey, are we doing this for the wrong reasons, the Rahu reasons, or are we doing this to try to kind of gain some intuition in the long run? And what do I mean by this? This is not a great time. If you are not a professional in the stock market, this is not a great time to invest in stocks. Okay, that's your Rahu trying to influence your Mars, saying, "Hey, let's go. Let's start this. Let's focus on stability and expansion." Okay, what you do want to do is listen to your Jupiter and saying, "Hey, are we learning anything from this? Maybe this is a good time to invest a little bit of money just to kind of see. I don't know. I mean, you got to determine for yourself. But this is not a great time to go all in on things related to extended stability. That is the goal. Okay." Same thing with family. I'm personally going to India this winter, so I know there is going to be some karma with extended family that I'm going to have to deal with. But what this could mean is don't do anything crazy in regards to extended family. I wouldn't recommend you just be careful on like if you're telling any like big secrets or you're doing any gossiping or anything like that with extended family. Okay, just anything that in regards to extended stability, your Mars is going to want to make stuff happen because there's some pending karma there, which is why it's going retrograde. And throughout this retrograde, you're going to notice it kind of shifts from extended stability to stability. But I wanted to really focus on the extended stability before because that's the effects that you're going to see immediately. And that might catch you off guard because Mars is kind of slowing down throughout this month of October, and that's where it starts in that extended stability range, and then it will go into stability later throughout the rest of this transit, like maybe possibly throughout winter break and stuff like that. As it goes more backwards, it's kind of affecting, it's going more from extended stability to stability, but these areas could kind of catch you off guard at the beginning, the extended stability, so that's why I kind of wanted to highlight that now. But yeah, so your Mars, there's some pending karma there with extended stability and then stability. So you want to make sure that you fulfill that karma, yeah, sure. But don't really listen to your Rahu that much and just try to get going, do crazy things and all this kind of stuff. You want to, and Mars is a little bit of a confusing planet, so that's why I don't have that many like specific examples, and especially with the very unique place that it's in right now. But and I don't want to be too general here either, right? So I want to balance general and specificness, but anyways, um, so but your Jupiter is aspecting Scorpio. So you want to basically say, hey, look, you're spiritually elevated here. I want to say, hey, look, I have some karmas in regards to this area of stability or possibly extended stability. And I'm kind of tempted to do this, but what am I kind of gaining intuitively here? Okay. And when then you have to make a decision, right? Based off of, okay, am I kind of learning anything here? Because Jupiter is throwing a ninth aspect onto the Scorpio. Okay, so am I kind of learning anything? Am I kind of gaining any wisdom or intuition by doing this? If the answer is no, then most likely I'd be very, very cautious about your material um, expectations when you do these certain things when Mars goes retrograde, okay? Especially because Ketu's in Libra, which is Mars's ruler's other sign. So you know already that your level of enjoyment is already going to be hampered. So you're not doing these things to find enjoyment. Now, you're always going to try to trick you that, hey, this is going to be the best for us in the long run and things like this. But like I said, I just try to be very, very careful of whatever you do, especially things that you start. Okay, like if you're not an expert in the stock market, don't just go all in and do some things. Or if you have like some extended family that you don't really see that much, don't just blindly take a trip with them like around this time without really thinking things through. Okay, things like this. So I think that's pretty much it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you very much for watching.